Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of my Job Seeker series. This particular episode, we are talking about resumes. Now, if you want to use a Word document, that's perfectly fine, but I have found what I consider to be the best way to write a resume, to house the data, to go in and alter the data based on the job that I'm applying for, and to just have it clean and neat and safe at all times and accessible. So, I found Novo Resume about 2 years ago, and I have been using them as a student, as a recent graduate, and now as a mid-level professional, and I absolutely love them. This is a completely free service. They do have a premium option, which is going to allow you a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more customization, but I have scooted around the free service just fine, let me tell you. So, this resume is definitely going to be an eye catcher. I've already went ahead and created an account by the name of Jessica Jones. I wanted to keep my private one separate just because I am job hunting right now. So let's go ahead and get started. You can go to noresume.com. This is not a sponsored video, and just get enrolled for free. So now you can clearly pick what kind of resume you yourself are building. If you don't have years and years of experience or a couple different employers that are providing you experience in the field that you are trying to get a job in, this is going to be the best option for you. That's free. The intermediate is what I've kind of used from the start because I have always worked while I'm in school. So I had applicable experience plus an education that I was trying to finish. It says 1 to 5 years experience, also free. And that's what I've been using for the start. Now the senior option is for someone who is going to need a multi-page because they have real valuable experience going back, maybe 10 years. But my personal preference, even if you're certain that the employer is using an ATS looking for those keywords, it's called an applicant tracking system, I still feel that the one page is going to be your best bet. So let's go ahead and just pick the classic. This is the one that I've always used personally. It's, in my opinion, the most visually appealing, but you saw that there were many different options there. And let's go ahead and edit Jessica Jones. So this is Jessica Jones. She is an administrative professional. So this is her name, her professional title. And it looks like she's got a little professional summary. Some people call this the objective. Some people call this like the goal, or basically it's a 2 sentences or so. It's 2 sentences or so on why are you the greatest and what are you looking for in the company, and why you're the greatest plus what you're looking for in the company should very closely match the company you're applying for and the position that they're trying to fill. So that's just a little tidbit for you. So if we're going to go in here and start editing, we're up in the header area, and you see that I can add Jessica Jones. For mine, I recently received a certification, so I just went ahead and did comma my certification credentials, and it went ahead and saved it. Jessica Jones does not have her PHR. I've got the email address, a contact number. I have worked in a template that I'm allowed to remove the city, but in this exact example, it's not letting me. And then it has these other really great features. So I am in love with LinkedIn. It is like the best. But you could also do really fun things like maybe you're in marketing or you're a client advocate. And you have a Facebook, or maybe you prefer to work remotely, or you're trying to relocate, or you just provide it because you feel that it might be asked for. It does have the option to, I'm going to get real serious for just 1 second. This offers you the option to put your photo. Now, recruiters have to work very, very, very hard to prove that nothing they do is discriminatory. There's a lot of tracking depending on what kind of organization, and government reporting depending on what kind of organization you work for. And overall, they just typically have a great heart and would never ever want anyone to question their judgment. So if you put a photo on your resume of yourself, it puts that recruiter in a questionable position where now they could potentially be accused of some sort of discrimination. So think very, very carefully about, is it worth it to you? Do you need to put your photo on your resume? If you're going for a casting call, or if you're going for a modeling gig, or you have some legitimate job seeker reason to have your photo on your resume, by all means, put it on there. Thank you, Novo Resume, for offering that as an option, but for most positions, just really think about it before you put it on there. So back to the fun stuff. I just wanted to throw that out there. You can add a title or remove it. She has a title and a summary, or remove it. Please put a summary. I think it's going to serve you well. Again, it's 2 sentences. It's why you're the greatest at what you do, and what kind of a company you're looking for. So Jessica Jones, and I just made this up, like pulled this completely out of my butt. Jessica Jones is an administrative professional. She's team-oriented. She's a team-oriented administrative professional with 10 plus years experience in a legal office setting. She's pursuing a company that values creativity and integrity. So good job, Jessica. You sound like an upstanding professional. I love this bar. It just kind of highlights all of her contact information. Now, Jessica is not a very recent graduate, but if I were a recent graduate in, let's say, the last year, year and a half, I would definitely have the education at the very top. Now, this is editable. So what I did is I went ahead and just moved it down for myself. Let's see if it'll let me. Education. The template that I used, it did allow me to move my education down to the bottom, and my work experience was on top. So everything was in 2 columns like this, but the education was at the bottom. It looks like she's worked for this company for a very long time. She used to work for Jill Davis, attorney at law. She was there for a little over a year. And then it looks like she had an internship while she was in school. So you go, Jessica, good for you. It looks like she also has some skills and competencies. Again, this is entirely editable. You can add or subtract things. I like to have everything be very symmetrical. So I don't want my most recent position to have 15 tasks and achievements and then everything else have 2. I would like it to be much more symmetrical. So if my most recent is where I really just bloomed and blossomed as an administrative assistant, or what is she, an office manager, I could see having 5 possibly, but then try to have at least 3 in the 2 positions below. So I'm sure you can think of something, but I hope you understand what I mean by symmetry there. And it is understandable because it looks like, you know, she probably is going to have a lot more under her belt because she's been at RB and Associates since 2009. So that makes sense. But I do like the symmetry. It's just better for the eye. And then it looks like we can put our city. I took the city off of mine because I'm trying to relocate, and they can Google it if they want to. What kind of law office it is, maybe to her that's important. For example, I'm trying to get out of manufacturing, so I wouldn't highlight that my last 2 previous positions were manufacturing, but if I got a tech position, which is the industry I'm looking to break into, I would definitely have that industry description under my next employer, so I can continue to pursue HR in a tech setting. Task and achievement is simply, this is editable, but it is just, it's called a, what is it called? It's a label, essentially, just like these little blue lines are. And this could be changed to say work history. I just left it as what it recommended because sometimes it's not necessary to change everything. Also for mine, because this is incredibly customizable, I didn't want my GPA floating out here. I wanted it to be very obvious because I worked very, very, very hard on it. So I'm just going to make it say it that way. This is a really great category. Again, these are all optional. I can add an organization, I can add a language, and they'll show up as options, or I can go in here and I can just not have them at all and really limit it because maybe I have that much to put in there. So the skills and competency category is actually very interesting though, because it does allow you to have infographics and you can pick how you want these to appear. So for example, maybe this Jessica Jones gal wants to highlight that she's like amazing at QuickBooks and amazing at Outlook. She's pretty good with the multi-line phone system, but please don't ask her to use Excel. She has experience with it, but it's not her top tier. This to me is too much open for interpretation, so I actually went ahead and removed the infographics on mine, and I highlighted the different softwares that I've used for human resources because they're pretty varied, and it's nice that I have a nice broad experience. So personal projects, now this category for myself, I always take the initiative, and I have done so many different things and been blessed to have leaders that allow me to just, hey, I have an improvement idea, and they're like, that's great, you know, just make sure you get your other work done. So I was able to fill that out quite a bit, certificates. And then because this is so editable, for example, I could put something like volunteerism, and et cetera, and so on and so forth. And maybe Jessica here volunteered at the orphan farm animal company. So, and she did that in 2010 until present. So she's like definitely a go-getter. So essentially we've got a big blank spot here. It's not very appealing. I don't think I would hand this resume in with this big giant gap because I'm sure Jessica she's clearly a go-getter. I'm sure there's more things we can put in here, but you can actually go back and forth between these different templates and pick one that's going to highlight and really shine on your greatest achievements. So clearly this education was something that she did. She went above and beyond. She's really dedicated to being an office manager for a law office. She has all this experience and she's clearly taken the initiative here, and she helps out the community. So this might be a better template for our Jessica here. We've got a little bit something more modern, maybe if you're into tech, or you're an engineer, still all of the same data, but you can move it around, mold it, meld it, and really make it work better for you. Let's see here. Yeah. So pretty cool stuff. Now, before I run out of time on the recording here, there is one thing that I did want to make very clear. A typo or a misspelling on your resume is a death knell. There are some managers who are willing to overlook it, but if you put something like detail oriented on your resume or cover letter and you missed a comma, it's kind of a big deal. You had umpteen hours to review that before submitting it. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you go to grammarly.com and create another free account. And you're going to go ahead and go into your Grammarly account, and piece by piece, when you're done adding the content, because you're never done adding content to a resume, you're going to go ahead and you're going to select, copy, and paste into your Grammarly, and you are going to make these corrections, and you're going to paste it right back in there. Just like so. Okay, so you've got your resume content, you know exactly how you want to portray yourself, and Nova Resume is there for you again. They have an example and tips section that you can kind of look through to kind of get some inspiration. I know when I first started writing my resume, I actually wrote it and rewrote it over the course of several months, and since then, unless I've had a major change in a job, education status, etc., I've only had to make very minor tweaks. So spend the time on it up front, and it's going to pay off a ton in the future, and these tips really do help you. But you've got your content ready to go. Jessica Jones is beautiful, and she is smart, intelligent. She's clearly a go-getter. Now, how the heck do I get this resume? Well, it's just as simple as hitting this download button right here. So it's going to go ahead and just give you a PDF which you should always be emailing a PDF whenever you're applying for a position. Never email a Word document unless you've specifically been instructed to email a Word document. Some recruiting agencies will ask for that. Give it to them. They're helping you out. They're doing you a favor. But other than that, PDFs only. So now I have a PDF. It's beautiful. I can save a copy of this for my records, or I can just trust Nova Resume to keep it for me, and I can switch out my different templates, add things that I want to add, or remove things that I would like to remove, etc., and so on and so forth. So overall, this is the best website for building resumes that I have ever come across. If you have used Nova Resume as well, please write so in the comments below. I would really like to hear what your thoughts are. I am so glad that I found this. It has saved me time and time again, and it automatically saves. I don't have to remember to hit save. It does keep track of spelling errors as I'm typing, etc., but you're going to use Grammarly to make sure that everything's on the up and up anyway. So there you have it. 2 free services that are going to help you write the best resume of your entire life. You can download it and save it to your computer, or download it, save it to your computer, and send it as an attachment. Upload it directly to the application format that you're using to apply for the job. The options are endless. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know, or reach out to Nova Resume customer service. They're actually really responsive and really, really nice. I just asked them a question recently and they got back to me in less than 2 days. So good job, Nova Resume. I'm proud to speak good words about you. But thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for another Job Seeker series episode tomorrow. Bye!